Good morning, all of you. We have today our own ranker who sat in this very same classroom, probably the opposite classroom, in 2023. He's Akshit Bhardwaj, rank 12, CSE 2025. Something unique that Akshit has achieved is there are not many other rank holders above him who have qualified this exam this year in the very second attempt. Most of them have taken at least 3 attempts to qualify, and Akshit is a student of IIT Delhi who took the GS foundation class here, sat in the same classrooms as you are, same building, walked the floors every day, finished his foundation, and was a very diligent student. So he is going to share his journey to you. He's going to talk about the do's and don'ts, what you should be doing, take some very necessary steps. Of course, he's going to emphasize on areas which will be areas that you need to focus on your preparation, and also his journey is going to be a guiding light for you all. So I leave it to Akshit to address the classroom right now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hi, so good morning everyone. Good morning. So I was a student here. I studied in the opposite classroom. So even 3 days ago I was a student. I was preparing for prelims. So nice to be here, and I would like to thank Vajiram for helping me in this journey. So what I would be doing is I would be discussing my strategy, what I did in my 2 years of preparation, how I started, how I consolidated it, and what I did in the final exam. And so what my thinking about this exam is that you should prepare for this exam in 3 phases. The first phase is the foundation phase, which you are doing right now. The second phase is means specific preparation, and the third phase is prelim specific preparation. And I will discuss the strategy phase by phase. For the foundation phase, which you are currently doing right now, you should attend your classes daily, and because once you have committed to a source, I think you should follow it with every ounce of energy you have. So once you have made that decision, you should follow it with utmost sincerity, because if you don't do that, a few months down the line, you will feel that you have missed out on something, and that is a feeling you should avoid. So you should be working very hard from day one. The second thing I would like to say in the foundation stage is that you need to get acquainted with the exam. So to do that, the best source is PYQs. So whenever you study a topic, let's say you have taken a polity class in which you have been taught about RTI. So the first thing you should do when you get home is to take up all the PYQs on RTI from the mains mainly, and also from the prelims. And then when you are making your notes, you should use your class notes and other sources like even ChatGPT to make answers to those PYQs. And those answers should not be like those proper 150-word answers written in 2 pages. They can be just flowcharts like RTI, this question, I will write this keyword, this keyword, this keyword, this phrase in the conclusion. And if you have 4 or 5 keywords per answer, then you can be happy and you can write a good answer. So when you are writing the answers in mains, it is not necessary that you will know the answers to all the questions, and it is not necessary that you will have studied the topic from that very dimension which is asked. But if you have done the mapping of PYQs, you will have enough content to maneuver your key points, keywords, phrases, and use them in your answers. I think all of you are preparing for the 27 attempt, am I right? So you should make sure that you are mains ready, like you have done your mains preparation before you finally enter into the prelims phase, which would be, let's say, in January of next year. So before that, you should also have done some answer writing, and you should also have prepared your mains notes. You should be done with your optional by then, because the time between pre and mains is shrinking. So you need to be ready with your optional and also with your GS notes. And that is it for the foundation stage. Then when you enter into the main specific preparation, once you are done with your foundation course, or once you have a command of the syllabus, even if your foundation course is done, you should start focusing more on answer writing. And I did that by giving tests. Some people do it by writing answers daily. That is your choice. But the focus should be on making your answers crisp. Read a lot of topper copies, because then you will get a general idea of what is to be written, how it is to be written. You have to keep your points crisp. You have to use examples. You have to use data. That is a given. And even you, when you don't have examples or data for a question, I think you need to know how to write even a generic answer, because even in the final exam you will know 12 or 13 questions from what you have studied, but after that you have to be careful and improvise from the generic keywords, preparations, themes you have studied in your journey. Then also in the mains phase, the PYQ notes you were already making during our foundation course, they have to be consolidated. And when you consolidate those notes, make sure they are very short, because in the phase between prelims and mains, you don't have a lot of time to revise bulky notes. So keep your notes short. Eventually, with multiple revisions, you will start realizing what are the things you remember, what are the things you forget. And in your notes, you should only have the things that are tough to remember. You can read one day before the exam, बिकॉज जो भी आप एग्जाम से एक दिन पहले पढ़ते हो वो पेपर पे जरूर उतरता है, बाकी कुछ उतरे. Yes, I will. Okay, so whatever you read before the exam, that stays in your head, and you are more likely to write it in the exam. So prepare some kind of notes which you will be able to revise within a day also. But that is the last stage. You should already have done a foundation. You should have prepared some PYQ notes. Then you need to make them shorter. So it's an organic journey. Don't try to make immediate short notes from day one. Okay, and then for prelims. For prelims, the main problem is that usually there is no fixed source, and there are no fixed boundaries about what you have to study. So you have to be very smart, you have to be very intelligent in setting boundaries, that I'm going to read this source for this source for this. I mean, for every subject there are multiple sources. You have to choose the sources which you trust, and then you have to stick to them. And for there are two types. We all hear the word static and dynamic part in prelims. So what the main essence of the exam is that you have to be perfect in the static part, and you have to be ahead of the competition in the dynamic part. So there is no excuse for not knowing a question which is present in a standard source or your prelims notes. But in current affairs, you only need to be better than the competition. So to do that, one thing is that you have to follow the news regularly to get an idea of what's happening. Maybe add things to your notes if you find important. It is a tough thing to do, but if you do it regularly, even add one or two things to your notes, then it's okay. And then you should also follow some current affairs source, but your focus should not be on depth. Like we often see that there are a lot of in-depth facts, figures in current affairs, compilations. So don't focus on that. Focus on the breadth. You should know everything that major that is going on. You should know the basic essence of the topic, some key facts, but not random figures and extreme details. And also for prelims, I think you should also give a lot of tests, because the nature of the exam is changing. There are a lot of questions which have multiple statements, and in those questions you never truly know what is the right answer. So you build that skill by giving a lot of exams. And I think you should also learn the skill of when to trust your gut, when not to trust it, and that also comes from giving a lot of exams. So that's a brief outline of what I did. I would like to take questions from you now.
I have two questions.
Yes.
First, I want to know that what was the way of your approach while doing classes? How was you approaching your day? In short, you can say. And second, that in main exam, how we can develop the skills to write the answer in a fast way, because it is a main issue, time management in main exam. 6.7 minutes around. So how we can develop that?
Okay. So for the first part, which is how you should plan your day when you are taking classes, that was the first question, right? So my example is perhaps not the best example because I was doing it when I was in college. So my day was usually very cramped. But ideally, your routine should be when are your classes? This time only? Okay, so what I would suggest is that you should have a early start in the morning. You should have a study session in the morning and then come to the class. And then at the end of the day, make sure that you do that PYQ mapping thing which I talked about. And in the mid half of the day and early evening, you should focus on revision. That's what ideally would be the case. And with about schedules, schedules need to be flexible. If you are very rigid about your schedule, that I will wake up at 7 a.m. and I will study for 3 hours, and if you end up waking up at 7:15 a.m., your brain would get a signal, okay, the day is ruined. So you need to be flexible with your schedules. Know what your best study slots are. Try to make the best use of them, but be flexible. Have a plan, have a short-term plan, a long-term plan, and be flexible. Any other question? My optional was mathematics. Anyone has mathematics? Okay. So आपके कोई question है? Okay. Okay, so I think we can skip the optional part. Any other questions?
So how to focus the revision day basis and the week?
Okay, so can I get a pen actually? Yes. Thank you. Okay, so आपके पास अभी कोई notes हो गए? कोई भी? Do you have any notes right now? किसी के भी पास? Any page you find very tough to memorize? नहीं, आप अपने पास रखो. मुझे बस बताओ कि क्या फैक्चुअल चीज़ें हैं उसमें. कोई भी फैक्ट इंटेंसिव पेज उठा लो. ओके, तो आप बताते जाओ कौन से फैक्ट सारे जो याद करने पड़ेंगे आपको.
गरीब कल्याण योजना.
ओके.
The scarcity of food before the government did allow to convert the food into ethanol.
Okay, that's not a fact.
I think you can give tariffs.
Yes, something like that if you have some history survey. Okay, so the basic thing about revision is that you tend to start forgetting about a day or two after you have first consumed the content. So the first revision should come within that phase. And yes, sorry. Okay, so you should know what those schemes are. Are you asking for prelims or mains? For prelims. Okay, so you should just have an idea of the very important schemes that are in the news, those which were launched in the last year or are very mainstream news that the government is very strongly promoting, and those which are in the news. So you should focus on those, and you should just know the basics, like what is the main goal, who are the beneficiaries, and is it a central sector scheme, is it a centrally sponsored scheme. Just those things, not the stats and figures, that how much money is being given where, who are the how is it being distributed. All those you don't need to remember. Also, one thing I would say is that about these things, you will realize what you have to do when you are working at 100%. If you are studying at your utmost capacity, you will automatically know what can be done and what cannot be done. So the prerequisite is that each one of you should be giving your 100%, because then you have to set those boundaries, and those boundaries will be easy to set when you are already at your capacity. You will know what is possible to be done, what is not possible. So I think सबके ये क्वेश्चन होते होंगे कि सर ये वाला क्वेश्चन आ गया प्रीलिम्स में, ये तो कोई कर ही नहीं सकता, ये हम कैसे पढ़े। ये सबको लगा होगा ना कोई सवाल देख के, तो उसका आंसर आपको खुद से मिलेगा। सॉरी, somewhere else. No, I could not. This year I did, but I did not attempt all the mains papers this year. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay, so I will tell you two different strategies. First is that what Vajiram advises you, I think, is that you should have 60 correct questions. That should be your target. And you should decide the number of questions you are attempting according to that. So for some, it will fall in the 80 to 85 range, for some in the 90 range. So that is what you have to do. But if you are going to prepare for forests, then you have to be a lot more aggressive, because you need to get those high scores, 120s, 115s at the very least. So for that you have to, there are only say 40-45 questions that will come from your static notes or books, whatever you follow. So uske baad you have to work on guessing, logical guessing. There are statements which are very soft in nature. You cannot disprove those statements. So they are likely to be correct. And there are some statements which are very difficult to prove that this is true. So they are likely to be wrong. So you have to build that mindset. That comes from a lot of PYQ analysis. And I think you can do that yourself. You can take help. There's a lot of help available for that also.
So there are two questions. The first one is, when should we actually, what is the ideal time to start the essay and CSAT paper? The second one is about the notes integration, that right now we have a class notes, the handouts, and also the study materials from various textbooks or what Vajiram. So like, should we integrate them and make a third set of notes, or should we just highlight there and keep certain things adding over here to a class?
Okay, right now you have class notes and
Handouts.
handouts. Okay. Okay, so as I said, the final notes which you will revise are not your class notes. You will build those notes using your class notes. So those have to be PYQ based notes. So if, as I mentioned, if there's a topic on RTI, then all the PYQs on RTI should be answered. There should be an introduction that should be ready. There should be a conclusion that is ready. And that is the 2 pages you will revise for RTI, nothing else. Okay, and to do that, I think once you are done with a subject, let's say you are being taught all subjects at once, right? Okay, so I think you should do it in tranches, that you have 5 lectures of a subject, then you prepare notes for those topics. Okay, yes. So CSAT में मेरा ऑप्शनल भी मैथमेटिक्स था, मेरी ग्रेजुएशन भी बीटेक थी, तो मैंने बहुत अलग से पढ़ाई नहीं करी थी, तो I don't think I am the best person to give advice on that. But yes, I think if you think you are weak in CSAT, you should treat it as a subject, like you would treat economy, not like it is something you just have to study a little bit. You should treat it like a subject. Economics. Okay. For prelims or mains? Mains. Okay, so in mains, the questions are conceptual or based on current affairs. So the economic survey is important, but खुद से मत पढ़ना, वो document समझ नहीं आता है वो. तो take help from teachers in reading that document. और उसके अलावा फाउंडेशन कोर्स कर रहे हो तो कंसेप्ट्स तो आपके वहाँ से स्ट्रॉन्ग हो जाएंगे. सो आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन, कैन यू प्लीज शेयर योर करंट अफेयर स्ट्रैटेजी and how to manage time in a day with both GS and optional classes. Okay, so I will take the current affairs question first. as I mentioned, I focused on breadth, not depth. So I used to read the newspaper daily, but not as an academic exercise, just to know what's happening. And I followed a couple of compilations, which I read again and again. I did not make notes, I just highlighted them. But I made sure that I did active recall, which is the example I was trying to give you. अगर किसी को history के या कुछ ऐसे notes मिल जाए तो बताना मुझे please. We will do a sample कि कैसे active recall कर सकते हो आप. तो एक्टिव रिकॉल कर करके याद करना है, इंडेक्स से याद करना है. जैसे ये वाली न्यूज़ आपने पढ़ी तो इस न्यूज़ में 5 फैक्ट थे, वो वहाँ लिख दो इंडेक्स में कि इसके आगे यहाँ 5 फैक्ट याद करने थे. इंडेक्स से याद करके देखो कि ये 5 चीज़ें आपको याद है कि नहीं. फिर वो पेज पलटो, फिर वापस अगली न्यूज़ पे जाओ कि हाँ ये 4 फैक्ट थे इस न्यूज़ में, मुझे याद है कि नहीं, चेक करो, फिर पेज पलटो. क्योंकि जब तक आप खाली कागज़ पे याद नहीं करें, व्हेन यू आर, आई एम सॉरी, आई एम so when you are, unless you are revising on a plain sheet, you are not making your brain work hard enough. And the only way to push things into your permanent memory is to make it do the hard work.
And could you please translate what you have said
About
the active recall?
yes, so what I just said was that I wanted to do a sample of active recall exercise. So if anyone has their history notes or something very factual, then we can try. Math optional with GS. Okay, so when I took maths optional, my thinking was that if I am taking maths, I need to score 300 in maths, and I will give it more time than GS if it needs. So my priority became mathematics. But by the time I started studying mathematics, I had already done GS to a particular level. Like I had my phase 1 that is the foundation, that was done, and I only needed to do mains specific preparation, then prelims specific preparation for GS. So I gave a lot of time to mathematics. But even in mathematics, it is important that you fix a source and focus on PYQs. There is no need to do advanced books, just focus on PYQs. Yes.
What about time management?
Can I take his question first?
What can be the ideal duration of different phases, like formation phase, main phase, retreat phase?
Okay, so that depends on when you are planning to give your attempt.
Like suppose for our batch 27
Okay, and when are your classes going to end?
by December.
By December next year, right? Okay, so okay, yes, sorry. So ideally, you should have 6 months for main specific preparation. Are you doing your optional side by side right now? So your optional would be done by December?
Yes.
Okay, so then I think before your classes end, from October, you should start main specific preparation, which is consolidation of your notes according to PYQs, writing test series, and making sure you are able to complete papers on time. And also for all the syllabus pointers, you should have introduction, conclusions ready. That is the work you need to do from say October to December, January, where you will start prelims.
That's
ठीक है, okay, now stop. Just repeat बिना पढ़े.
Diwani Vizarat,
हाँ.
Diwani Arth, और Diwan.
एक बार फिर से करते.
Diwani Vizarat, Diwani Arth, Diwani Inza, then Diwani Rizal.
ठीक है. What was Vizarat?
Vizarat was PM's office.
Okay. What was the second one?
Defense.
ठीक है. Third one?
It was letters.
हाँ ठीक है. तो we have the Wazir's office, we have letters and we have defense. So ऐसे बस अपनी blank page पे D4 लिख दो. अगला fact.
Later, Alauddin Khilji adds two departments on that. That is Diwan-e-Riyasat, that is the commerce. Then Diwani-Mustakars, that is income tax.
ठीक है. तो अब ऊपर वाले 4 दोबारा याद करो.
Diwani Vizarat.
बिना देखे.
Diwani Arts, Diwani Vizarat, Diwani Arts, Inza.
कोई बात नहीं, अब याद नहीं है, अब चेक कर लो, कोई बात नहीं. हाँ तो चारों याद हो गए अब। ऐसे ही पढ़ाई करनी है, जब तक याद ना हो आगे ही नहीं बढ़ना। अगर तुमने रीड कर लिया तो कोई फायदा नहीं। ठीक है, अब एक बार बोल दो बस ये चारों। ठीक है, अब ये दोनों बता दो बिना पढ़े। ठीक है, तो मतलब थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया लग रहा होगा। अब मान लो तुमने 2-3 पेज दोबारा पढ़ लिए, आगे चले गए हो तुम अब, बट ये तुम्हारी कॉपी पे लिखा हुआ है ना D4A2, यहाँ पे वापस आओ और फिर दोबारा याद करो पढ़ते पढ़ते ही। तो पहला रिवीजन पढ़ते पढ़ते हो रहा है, पढ़ने के बाद नहीं हो रहा है। कुछ भी तुमने पढ़ा है वो तब मानो कि तुमने पढ़ाई करी है जब तुम्हें एटलीस्ट उस पॉइंट पे याद है। अगर तुमने 4 चीज़ें रीड कर ली कि ये डिपार्टमेंट, ये डिपार्टमेंट, ये डिपार्टमेंट, दैट इज़ नॉट स्टडिंग। अगर तुम्हें किताब बंद करने के बाद सब कुछ याद है, दैट इज स्टडिंग। अपना डेफिनेशन ही चेंज कर दो पढ़ाई का। आई विल वंस अगेन ट्रांसलेट। तो यू शुड कंसिडर दैट यू हैव स्टडीड अ टॉपिक only when you have memorized everything that you have studied. Reading is not studying. Reading is just acquainting yourself with the page. Ultimately, you should be able to close your copy and know everything that you studied. And for that, you should just write some things that you have to. I mean, you are basically assisting yourself to recall. You won't remember what is on the first page, but you will remember that I had studied 4 departments. Then you can recall them. So that is how you have to study.
And what about time management, sir? Which
Yes. So, see, you don't have to count the number of hours you study. I had a friend in school who got a top 10 rank in JEE. So whenever I used to call him, ki, how many hours did you study today? His answer was always that I did not count. I woke up, I had my breakfast, I studied, I had my dinner, I slept. No 8 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours. Because if you are counting hours, then tum kaam chori kar rahe ho. You are shying away from the work. I have studied for 11 hours, I have done a lot of work. Why not 11 and a half? कोई आंसर है उसका? नहीं है ना. And there are people who are studying like that, so you have to match them. Any other questions? Okay, so that is your choice. I tried to do 2 or 3. If you do more than that, I think बहुत कम time बचता है to focus on them. So 2. Yes, I think current affairs should only be like 1 hour a day, not more than that.
and so you told about answer writing. We are weekly answer writing practice going on weekly once in Wednesday, and we are side by side we are covering our class lectures too. But you know what? The class lectures, the topics that are covered in the class, in the present week's class, and the topics that are asked in the that week's answer writing, the test are both different. But they both are already covered. But we don't generally we don't get that much time to revise both things, along with the class notes and revising of PY and along with the reading of newspapers and covering GS plus optional classes.
Okay, just to make sure I got your question right, you are saying that in the classes you are being taught something and the tests are asking something else. That is the question.
That was previously covered.
That was previously covered. Okay, so firstly, revision is a continuous process. So you should not be forgetting things that you have studied. But this happens with everyone. So even if you forget, that's not a problem. Means answer writing is active recall only. You are remembering things on a blank page. So treat it as revision. If you don't remember it, then try to write whatever you know. Then read that topic and then again on a blank page just jot down whatever things you were not able to recall at that time. Treat it as revision. Yes. Can you be a bit louder, please? Okay. Okay, so I don't know if I should talk about mathematics in detail here because there are very few students and I want to save everyone's time. Uh, but I will try to put my strategy somewhere on YouTube, and I think within a few days you will be able to get that. But you should find the right sources. That is the most important thing in any optional, and focus on the PYQs because there is almost a 60-70% repeat rate, and in humanities you can still get less marks even if you write the perfect answer. But in mathematics, if there is a question you have studied, then you should be able to solve it. So focus on the PYQs.
So there is one language paper which comes.
Hmm.
So how do we actually approach it? Because no actually speaks about that.
Language paper, the passing paper.
Yes, we call it that.
Okay, so my strong advice is that you should try to write some Hindi if your language is Hindi before the mains, because वैसे लगता है कि हाँ ये तो पास हो जाएगा, बट 1 week बिफोर द एग्जाम एवरीवन फील्स कि यार हिंदी तो 10वीं में लिखी थी, आखिरी बार लिख लेंगे क्या पेपर में, तो थोड़ी बहुत लिख लेना, मतलब एकदम डोंट टेक इट कैजुअली, थोड़ी सी राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस कर लेना.
Anything about interview, what you were asked, some questions that you could tackle and could not tackle.
देखो, it is too early to talk about interview, but interview में it is not about whether you are able to answer the questions correctly or not. You just have to maintain composure, and second thing is कि I don't know my interview marks so I don't know if I am the right person to give that advice.
And so, what challenges are you facing during your preparation, and how do you overcome them
Uh,
in which phases? As you go?
Okay. So, see, the challenge is always that you feel overwhelmed, that there is so much to do. And the only way to tackle it that you should have a long-term plan and a short-term plan. जो चीज़ें आपको next day you have to read, those things should be on your table, those books, the day before. And you should have a long-term plan also, that at the end of 15 days, I should be done with this. So if you are accomplishing your small targets, then you will stop feeling overwhelmed. That was the main challenge. And other than that, there are some subjects that are inherently difficult, like that history thing that everyone is scared of. कि how it will. So in those subjects, you have to realize that no one will remember all the facts. You just have to try to be better than everyone else.
And please, can you please illustrate those short-term plans and long-term plans?
Yes, I can give you an example. So last year when I was preparing for prelims, I had decided that in the next 15 days I will finish polity and economy. But within those days, every day before sleeping, I made my targets for the next day. That tomorrow I will revise Parliament, fundamental rights, and I will revise lecture notes of lecture 1 to 5 out of 20 lectures from economics. And that is my short-term target. My longer-term target is over the next 15 days. I will take an online question once. Second. Okay, ये हो गया है, ये भी हो गया. Okay, so factual points about species, their names, how to remember. So the first thing is कि this is not the top priority, क्योंकि ये चीज़ें पिछली बार कुछ पीकॉक टेरेंटुला के बारे में पूछा था, किसी मैगजीन में नहीं था, कहीं न्यूज़ में नहीं था. सो यू कैन नॉट बी 100% प्रिपेयर्ड. तो बस जो आ रहा है उसे एक बार देख लो, कभी टाइम मिले तो उसे याद करने की कोशिश कर लो, किसी जगह लिख लो कि एक बार वापस पेजेस पलट लिए. बट डोंट पैनिक इफ़ यू आर नॉट एबल टू रिमेंबर ऑल द स्पीशीज़, देयर IUCN स्टेटस. एक नैरो डाउन कर लो कहीं से वो लिस्ट कि ये स्पीशीज़ क्रिटिकली एंडेंजर्ड है, ये मैं सारी याद करूँगा. दीज स्पीशीज़ आर let's say national animals, state animals, I will study these. So narrow down your horizons and unko yaad karo. Do not chase every fact. Okay, so for prelims I did not make a lot of notes because most of our sources are very factual and they're already like notes. So you just have to make a mental note of what is important and what is not. Do not chase writing everything down in a copy. That's not useful. And prelims is so random that it is possible they might ask the only thing which you decided to leave out from your short notes. So for prelims, that is not very important. For mains, you should have 1 pagers, 2 pagers, or at least a set of value addition notes. Like for example, social justice, you should have all the stats in one place. You should have keywords in one place. You should have some schemes, some committee names in one place. So you should have these value added notes for mains. That is a must, I think. And apart from that, if you want to make PYQ based notes, that you should do. It depends on how much time you have for the foundation phase. So when is your plan to finish that subject? I think that was in my first attempt, and my strategy was not perfect back then, and I did not clear the prelims. So I would tell you what I would do now. So initially, when you have just had 4 or 5 classes of each subject, I would just follow the classes. But when you have done a major chunk of one subject, let's say polity is 80% done, only a few topics are left, then don't wait for those classes. Consolidate your notes. The thing I was telling ki 100% effort agar daloge, then you will be able to figure out the exam better. If you're not working at 100%, you will always be in let's say FOMO, for lack of a better word, ki what are people doing, I don't know. So give your 100%. That is the first step. The second is you should have a strategy fixed for every subject before you start studying it. You should know what you have to do in polity before you read polity. You should have an idea about what type of questions are asked about a topic before you read that topic. That is something you should do. Standard books and class notes from for some topics. It was a mix. आपके पास कोई आंसर है अपना अभी लिखा हुआ? मुझे बस ये बता दो कि पॉइंट्स में लिखा है, पैराग्राफ्स में लिखा है. तो वैसे कोई रूल नहीं है, बट माई स्ट्रॉन्ग एडवाइस इट्स यू शुड राइट इन पॉइंट्स, क्योंकि you are able to write faster when you write in points. It is easier to read and you can easily highlight, and your word count is also better if you write in points. If you write in paragraphs, you will end up writing 100 pages per word or something like that, depending on your writing. So that way you won't be able to complete the paper. Also, writing speed is also about how much you have revised. अगर किसी टॉपिक के बारे में फर्स्ट इंस्टेंस में ही आपके पास 5-6 कीवर्ड्स आ रहे हैं, तो वो आप पेज 3 मिनट में भर दोगे ना. अगर आपको याद नहीं है, देन यू विल स्ट्रगल. जैसे कोई टॉपिक बताओ जिस पे आंसर लिखा हो. हाँ, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ. आपने कोई आंसर लिखा हो रिसेंटली? हाँ, तो मुझे बताओ वो टॉपिक. इतने किसी और का कोई क्वेश्चन? ओके, सो एसे के लिए बी नेचुरल. बहुत ज़्यादा उस चक्कर में मत पड़ना कि इस टेम्पलेट से लिखना है, आई हैव टू यूज़ दिस स्ट्रक्चर, दिस फ्रेमिंग, paragraph should have this many words. There is no hard and fast rule. Be creative, use good anecdotes, good examples. The essay paper is an opportunity to show that you are very well educated in all fields. So try to be as diverse as possible, and you don't use very frequent examples. Quote books, quote theories of some philosophers. For example, in ethics paper, everyone will write utilitarianism, deontology, but in essay paper, no one will write it. So if you can use it, then it becomes more impactful than writing it in GS4, for example. So use your multidisciplinary knowledge, and make sure that you stick to the topic. Don't write what you know. Write what fits for that topic. That is most important. For the essay? No, I just wrote 7 or 8 essay tests, I think. And in each essay, I identified what were the things I did wrong, and it was just a organic improvement, I think.
Sir, when should we start the reverse engineering method based on PYQ and main question to consolidate our understanding?
As soon as you can.
Because we have 4 months now. We can start from now, or we should.
Are you giving 26 attempts?
No, 27.
So you have 4 months for what?
Our class is 4 months old.
अच्छा अच्छा. हाँ, so you should start right now.
Then what is the suggestion? How should we
Uh,
do that method?
अगर किसी भी सब्जेक्ट की you have had a fair chunk of classes like 5 or 10 classes, pick those topics, take a look at the PYQs, then see if your class notes are able to answer those PYQs. If they are not, go to chat GPT, some book, and add some things. Prepare introductions and conclusions, and that topic is ready. छोटा छोटा काम करते जाओ डेली. एक टॉपिक 2 टॉपिक भी करोगे. कितना टाइम है अभी 27 के पेपर में? तो रोज़ 1-2 टॉपिक भी करोगे तो इट इज़ गुड. जस्ट बी ऑर्गेनाइज्ड कि ये कर लिया, ये कर लिया. सो इन प्रीलिम्स, firstly, last year they did not ask a lot of facts. Also, if you don't remember a figure or anything, then no need to worry. Very few people will remember in the prelims. So for prelims, it is not a concern. As for mains, you only need to remember the data you want to use. So the scope is already very small. Let's say there are 50 topics in economics. You only need to remember 50 data points, which you will write as introductions. So that is something you can do. So just make sure that you are doing as little as possible but sufficient when it comes to things like remembering data, because they are only useful for that specific introduction. It is not like you can use that in multiple papers. Also, when you are remembering some data, try to make sure that it can go fit into multiple types of questions. Like if you have some data on poverty, it can go into an economics question, it can go into a social justice question, it can go into some question about a scheme. So try to use data that is used in multiple places. So by doing that, you will have to remember less and less. देखो, इस एग्ज़ाम में सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ है कि अपनी कॉमन सेंस को हमेशा एक्टिव रखना, है ना? क्योंकि यू डोंट नो कि तुम्हारा पेपर जिसने चेक किया हो सकता है उसकी और तुम्हारी अप्रोच बहुत डिफरेंट हो. ज़रूरी थोड़ी है कि चेक एग्ज़ामिनर को भी वो अप्रोच ख़राब लगेगी. सो कीप योर कॉमन सेंस एक्टिव. Look at a lot of topper copies. What you can also do is just look at some questions from topper copies, write them yourselves, and then compare. So sometimes that is better than even writing a test, because the feedback you are getting is validated by UPSC itself. You should know basic mapping, वो आनी चाहिए सबको. But ये time zones वाला question, you have to use your common sense. ये वही वाले questions है जहाँ पे आपको अपनी gut feeling को trust करना है. Because you will know that Australia is big, it might have 5 time zones. You will know that France has a lot of island territories here and there, so it may have 5 time zones. So अगर आपको ऐसा कुछ भी logical लग रहा है तो in such questions I used to take a guess. तो वो आपको टेस्ट प्रैक्टिस करके बिल्ड करना है कि कहाँ आपको अपनी इंट्यूशन ट्रस्ट करनी है, वेयर यू कैन नॉट ट्रस्ट योर इंट्यूशन. दैट इज़ समथिंग यू हैव टू प्रैक्टिस ऑन टेस्ट. मतलब यू कैन सी कि किस साल क्या क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है. जैसे सिटीजन चार्टर का क्वेश्चन हर ऑल्टरनेट ईयर आता है, तो उस हिसाब से थोड़ी और चीज़ें कर लो. बट वो तो उनकी मर्ज़ी है ना, वो कब पूछेंगे. मुझे याद नहीं है ऐसा क्वेश्चन, बट वो ऑप्शन पढ़ तो लेनी ही चाहिए. स्पेशली जो ऐसे फैक्चुअल क्वेश्चन होते हैं हिस्ट्री के कि एक बुक सही है बाकी 3 बुक गलत आंसर है, पढ़ लो उन्हें, कभी ना कभी तो काम आएगा. पीछे से एक क्वेश्चन था ना, प्रीलिम्स PYQs. यार उसके लिए बहुत जगह वो मिल जाएगी तुम्हें, यूट्यूब पे लोगों ने कर रखे होंगे. तो मतलब खुद से करने मत बैठना, टेक हेल्प. मतलब कोचिंग्स इसीलिए है ना कि यू मे हैव टू मेक लेस एफर्ट ऑन दीज काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. तो उसमें टेक हेल्प, देन धीरे धीरे तुम्हारा खुद का वो बन जाएगा कि हाँ ये क्वेश्चन में ये था, ऐसे किया था. सो विद प्रैक्टिस हो जाएगा, बट टेक हेल्प कहीं से. NCERT बुक कौन सी? तो मैंने सारी नहीं पढ़ी थी, मैंने सिर्फ ज्योग्राफी की NCERT पढ़ी थी. एंड बाकी NCERTs अगर आपको पढ़नी है तो बस आप क्विक रीडिंग कर सकते हो, क्योंकि आप फाउंडेशन कोर्स कर रहे हो यार, तो सब कवर्ड ही है. बट हर किसी के सोर्सेज अलग होते हैं यार. तो एंड नो सोर्स इज़ बेटर देन द अदर, क्योंकि सब में सेम ही चीज़ें होती है. सो यू शुड ट्राई टू सिलेक्ट अ सोर्स और फिर उससे स्टिक करो, चाहे वो कोई भी सोर्स हो. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि कोई सोर्स किसी से बेटर है या नहीं है, कि इससे ही सारे क्वेश्चन आते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है. बट जो भी करो बार बार करो. तुम्हें ये तक याद हो जाना चाहिए कि उस पेज के इस कोने पे मैंने ये लिखा था. वो तभी होगा जब तुम एक ही जगह से पढ़ोगे. जैसे मैंने कहा था, once a fair chunk of your classes is done for one subject, you should start making notes and map them to PYQs. So that decision is yours, but you should try to be finished with your notes before you have to study for Prelims, which would be January next year for you. So before that you should be done. Always do reverse planning. Start from the end date, like I have to be done with this from January, and then figure out how much time it is taking you to do for one subject and then plan. I mean, that is not helping everyone, right? So I don't want to get into that. I want to utilize everyone's time. But yes, main कारण वो था. I saw that there is a lot of public service, तो job satisfaction ज़्यादा होगी. That was the main reason. But सबका reason अलग होता है इसमें. और कोई question? There are good sources available on YouTube also. You can find them. What you should do is you should have some blank maps and just see if you are able to recall. Choose any source. There are YouTube videos, and then recall using blank maps. Yeah, eventually तो मैंने Lucent से याद करी थी, but I had studied a lot of things. NCRTs भी पढ़ी थी, but last source मेरा Lucent था. कोई ऐसी बुक नहीं है जो हर टॉपर पढ़ता हो. देर आर अ लॉट ऑफ ऑप्शंस. कोई ल्यूसेंट पढ़ के जाता है, कोई पुरानी NCRT पढ़ता है, कोई नई NCRT पढ़ता है. यू कैन चूज़ एनी वन ऑफ देम, बट जो भी आपको ईजी टू रिवाइज लगे वो करो. मुझे ल्यूसेंट सबसे ईजी टू रिवाइज लगी थी. फर्स्ट तुम क्या गोल सेट कर रहे हो अपने आंसर राइटिंग का. माई गोल वॉज कि 10 मार्कर में 10 पॉइंट लिखने, उनमें से 4-5 पॉइंट ऐसे होने चाहिए विच आर सब्सटैंशिएटेड, कि इन 4 or 5 points you should have some example, some keyword, some data, some scheme, something. And other 5 words can be just keywords related to that topic. You should have a good introduction, you should have a good conclusion. That's your target. इससे ज़्यादा you don't have to achieve. So evaluate on the basis of that are you doing that in any answer. देखो, क्वेश्चन करने बैठोगे तो क्या होगा, गलत ही हो जाएगा. तो गलत होने से सीखोगे. बेसिक तो यही चीज़ है. ऑल्सो मैथमेटिक्स में ये होता है कि धीरे धीरे एप्टीट्यूड डेवलप होता है. 4 क्वेश्चन एक तरीके का कर लिए तो 5वां खुद कर लोगे. तो इट इज़ अबाउट प्रैक्टिस. सर क्लोज करें अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो.
So I have
अच्छा,
how to be disciplined in being disciplined.
फिर से हाउ टू बी डिसिप्लिन्ड इन.
Being disciplined because the consistency is not that much addictive.
हैव यू आइडेंटिफाइड एनी रीज़न.
Inconsistency is
Yes. Yes, why are you inconsistent? That is what I'm asking. Have you identified any reason?
overwhelmed subjects and being lagging behind some tests or something.
Okay, so firstly, if external targets are not working for you like tests, make your own targets like I mentioned earlier. Any other reason why you are feeling that you are inconsistent? हर दिन last day से study 15 minutes more, 30 minutes more, and eventually you will stop counting hours. So it is a slow process, but you will get used to it. And make sure your distractions are less. जब आप पढ़ो तो आपका फ़ोन बंद होना चाहिए, आपसे एक आर्म के डिस्टेंस से दूर होना चाहिए. You should not be able to lift your phone when you are studying. That's one rule. The second rule is the key slots you have identified where you are most productive. You should not be disturbed by anyone. It is a must that you study in those slots. And then slowly build that you already study for 3 hours and 3 hours in 2 slots. Try to fit in another slot. So you will improve slowly, but it is a slow process. And don't give in to distractions or easy dopamine hits like watching reels or chatting to a friend. Don't do those things because you won't have an idea of how much time you are spending. So even your break should be calculated, that I will take a break. I will take a 30-minute break, 1 hour break. But you should know you are going to take a break at that point of time. And those breaks should be relaxing. Like just talk to a friend. And वो बात भी ऐसी नहीं कि you are 10 friends and you are talking about anything and everything, because then your brain will get excited. So just have a calm conversation with a friend and then वापस पढ़ने बैठ जाओ. Because if you have planned your breaks, you won't feel guilt कि यार I have wasted 2 hours. If you have wasted 30 minutes, you have spent 30 minutes in a break which you had calculated, then you will not feel the guilt and you will get back to studies almost immediately. First was I had more time. I was not in college. The second is I started doing active recall. And the third difference is I was able to identify and fix my sources better. See, revisions get quick as you study them and again. So initially block feel hoga, you will feel a block, but once you do it again and again, like I had one history register. It used to take me a month to study, 15 days to revise it, let's say. But before the prelims, I could do it in 4 hours. It will happen slowly when you read something again and again, that time will reduce. So initially there's a block, but you have to fight through it.
And what do you exactly mean by rereading or revision?
Yes, revision is what I said, that you should be able to write down everything on a blank page once you have completed a session. So studying is not reading. You have to remember everything you have read in a session. That is what studying is. Otherwise you are reading for fun or just gaining a superficial layer of knowledge. Multiple चीज़ें होती है, PYQs, what most people are doing, and something that you have already done. All these three things are a factor. So your choice of your sources should be a function of these. I did not do the weekly tests, but ideally you should. It does not take a lot of time. These are small tests, right? So there's no harm in giving those tests. वही है, आपके नोट्स ही PYQ बेस्ड पे ऐसे होने चाहिए कि ये PYQ आया था, इसमें मैं पहले पार्ट में 5 पॉइंट ये लिखूंगा, अगले पार्ट में 5 पॉइंट ये लिखूंगा. आपके ऐसे नोट्स है. फिर उससे कोई मिलता जुलता क्वेश्चन आया तो उनमें से 3-3, 4-4 पॉइंट तो फिट हो जाएंगे, और बाकी 2 पॉइंट आपको जेनरिक भी लिख दोगे तो काम चल जाएगा. और इंट्रोडक्शन कंक्लूजन प्री प्लान्ड होनी चाहिए, तो उससे आपका आंसर बन जाएगा. और धीरे धीरे वो बेटर होगा. शुरू करो, धीरे धीरे होगा वो. ठीक है, ओके, थैंक यू.